I am Ray, and the Matrix is coming for those cheeks. You best prepare. And here's how. Mr. Duck, you're in the way. Such is life. First things first, we have to understand that the Matrix is not, well, I was going to say it's not real. It doesn't exist. It's real, it just doesn't exist. It's like the whole point. The Matrix is an illusion. We believe it into existence. And a lot of people are going to say, well, no, that's what I experienced. And look at all these other people experiencing. They're slaves to the Matrix. You cannot tell me this. I do not believe it. Can you believe it? I cannot believe it. In fact, I can believe it. Because it's true. It's an illusion. Why is it an illusion? Think about it this way. Think about the forces of darkness for a moment, but not too long. Because as Nietzsche said, sometimes when you stare into a dark void, it stares back. Let's say in here is the darkness. And here you are in the darkness. When you are in the dark, the forces of the dark have influence over you. This right here is the Matrix. The Matrix is illusion. What is illusion? Illusion is ignorance. It's unconsciousness. And unconsciousness and ignorance is darkness. It's like in deep sleep. That's unconsciousness, right? Or if you've ever been knocked out because you've been being bad. What is it? It's a void. It's darkness. It's nothing. And nothing, by definition, does not exist. It is literally the absence of existence. Does that make sense? And here's the problem. Because most people live in ignorance of the truth, they are influenced by the forces of darkness. But the whole game is that the forces of darkness have to get you to believe yourself into slavery. That is all it is. It's like a vampire that you have to ask it to enter into your home before it can steal your juices. Until that point, it has no power over you. We give our consent away to the forces of darkness freely by our belief. And then we get Stockholm Syndrome and fight for the one thing keeping us stuck in life, keeping us from our dreams. Don't let your dreams be dreams. And why will your dreams be dreams and not true? Because we allow the voice of darkness and ignorance to keep us a slave. When in truth, you are a slave to nothing. There is nothing in this universe that you are a slave to. Maybe not even the laws of physics. But don't be jumping off no buildings now. Take off from the ground first, if you're going to try it. Have you not heard of Jesus? He walked on water, supposedly. That defies the laws of physics, doesn't it not? And even Patanjali, a few hundred years before Jesus, wrote in the Yoga Sutras, hey, you might find that you get these spiritual powers on the spiritual path of yoga. And one of those powers is to walk on water, and all kinds of other things that disobey the laws of physics. And many people have experienced these things where, they have telekinesis or something like that. Now, how does that make sense? Well, telekinesis does not exist. No, it does not exist for you. Not yet, anyway. Because those who do not know their power, they have no power. And you believe everything into existence. You believe all of your limitations, all of your slavery into existence. And you can also believe your power. So it's time to take your power back, you see? That is what this is about. That is what this channel is about. It's about not being a slave. Being able to create any life you desire. Being free, you see? Entering into the light and being free from the chains of ignorance. As a wise man once said, in the age of information, ignorance is a choice, and they're still choosing ignorance. And that wise man's name was Filthy Frank. Speaking of filthy, let's get this tissue out the way. Where's my drink? I've been on the booze lately. That's not a Topo Chico. Sparkling water, delicious. This is alcohol. Refreshing. Sparkling lemon flavor. That'll break you free from the Matrix. Andrew Tate would be proud. Think about energy for a moment. What is energy? Energy is like the sun. I don't need to draw this. What is the sun? It's a big ball of energy. And what does it do? It gives life. Stars are the creative force of the universe. All the earth and all the planets and all the everything in the universe is created from stars. We can go into it a little bit. So you have elements, right? Hydrogen is like the main element. When you heat up the elements of hydrogen, they combine to create fusion, nuclear fusion, and they turn into helium. And the hotter the star burns, the more down the periodic table you go. So what happens? These big stars explode really hot, and they explode the elements of life across the galaxy. And that creates things like the rocky planets and the gas giants and other stars and all the other things that exist. The point is, it's all made up out of the same stuff. It's all one energy. And just hint, hint, spoiler alert, that is the true nature of reality. That is the truth that we are separated from. Because we do not experience unity with all things. We experience separation. We experience ourselves as little monkeys doing our thing, being separate, eating bananas. But there is no difference between you and the banana. We share like 50% of our genetic code or something like that with bananas. Because all of life comes from the same place, the same source. It's all made up out of the same stuff. Make sense? But you have a source of everlasting energy within you. It's called consciousness, and it's the true nature of what you are. And it's like Jesus said, the kingdom of God is in you. But have you been looking? I didn't think so. But now you will be looking. What do they call God? They call God the creator. What are stars? Stars are the creative force. Except for the consciousness that you are, the source of energy, the source of life in you, that is God, is just energy beyond the boundaries of space and time. So what does that mean? It means it's limitless, it's eternal, it has no boundaries. It is the source of everything, the source of everlasting life. And every night, you go to sleep and you restore your life juices and you wake up hopefully refreshed. Like this wonderful sparkling water that's also alcoholic. Time to drown my sorrows. But unfortunately I cannot drown my demons. They know how to swim. But at least we can give it a shot. Or two. I'm just kidding, I don't drink alcohol. And I don't do drugs either. Some of you been thinking that I do drugs? How could you? How could you say this about me? Wait, I'm getting off track. The demons, they said not to do that. I'm just kidding. I don't hear voices. What? Oh wait, I'm alone. Wait, who are you? Are you watching me? Trying to peek at my goodies? Okay, focus. I don't have ADHD. It's all lies. It's like, have you ever asked yourself why humans sleep? I mean, it's a pretty big thing, don't you think? It's like 50% of our life is sleep. Or at least like 1/3 or something like that. I made myself look lazy. 50%? What are you doing? The sleep is the most important thing because temporarily you tap back into that infinite ocean of God, and that restores your life. It restores your energy. Think about it this way. Imagine an ocean. The ocean of God. It's an infinite ocean of bliss. You'll like it, I promise. And imagine you got a hose tapped into that infinite ocean. And that hose is called the mind. Or you could say the mind is like a resistance valve to that hose. So, what happens? I'm not a scientist, so don't judge me, okay? I mean, you can judge me if you want, but I'm saying not to. Because, well, your mind is about to be blown. Let's just take an ideal situation. When it gets dark out, when it's night. What is night? What is darkness? It's death. You go to sleep. You go to sleep in a mini death. You become unconscious. So as you start falling into sleep, your body creates this reaction to the darkness. And it floods you with these chemicals, whether you want to call it DMT or pineal gland juice, I don't know, okay? But what happens is that it signals the mind to dissolve. So the mind is a tool that gives us a sense of separation. It gives us a sense of individual self, like I am me and you are you. But as those brainwave frequencies slow down and slow down and slow down, as you fall deeper into sleep, eventually the mind dissolves. And that is deep sleep. It's a void. Because in deep sleep there is no separation. Except you still exist in the state of deep sleep. You just don't exist as the mind. You exist as the pure, unconditioned consciousness. Now, what happens? When there is no mind, the floodgates open, and a whole bunch of this consciousness floods your whole system. And because this is the source of life itself, it does all your healing and repairing stuff. Heals your body, heals your brain, restores your system. That's why deep sleep is the most important thing you could ever do for your health. And then the light in the morning time, and of course this is general, you all got different circadian rhythms. The light triggers the mind to come on, and the mind starts vibrating faster and faster and faster. Then you go into the dream state. Because you got all that life surging through you, well, it creates dreams. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into that because it's beside the point. As the mind turns on, it pinches off that consciousness and closes up the portal between you and source. And so you got like a big, an allotment of consciousness, of energy that you get to use for the day. And when you use that consciousness up, that energy, you have to go back to sleep to tap back into the source so you can get more. This is why enlightened saints, like if you've ever heard Sadhguru talk, he does all kinds of crazy stuff. He does so much stuff. He's always doing stuff. And he says he sleeps like 3 hours a night, 4 hours maybe, if he's feeling lazy. Why? Because someone who's always tapped in doesn't need to sleep. They're always getting the surge of intense bliss all the time. Now, maybe not all the time, but a lot of the time, they're permanently in this state of bliss. Because that is the nature of Source. And they're getting flooded. And even if they wanted to, they have a hard time sleeping because, well, energy is the life force causing you to go out and do things. It's like when you're too energized at night. Can you go to sleep? No, I don't think so. The point I'm trying to make leads us all to this right here. That source is God, and it's your creative God power. And you exist in this vessel, this temporary vessel that has a tool called the mind that is designed to direct this God power, direct this creative energy that we all have, not in equal amounts because some of us are living more deeply in ignorance than others. And many of us don't even realize that we have this God power. So, what does the God power do? What does God do? Well, God as such, in the formless, eternal, limitless state, can create anything in an instant without any effort. It's just instantly there. Because God is the source of all things, right? But because we exist in these limited forms, we cannot do that. We have a very limited ability to do what I just described. So you have this magic wand of God called the mind, in which you can wave it around in whatever direction you like. You can ruin your life, you can make yourself sick, you can heal yourself, you can make yourself $1 billion, you can make yourself broke. You can send yourself to jail, and you can set yourself free. And the core essence of this is that energy is creation, and your mind is a tool that directs the flow of energy. So you will always create more of what you focus on. And that is the whole trick of the Matrix. That is why the demons, they got scary faces. Because in truth, they have no power and they're compensating. So they have to manipulate you into believing that they have power. So they steal your power and then they actually get power and then enslave you with your own power. See? But you gave it to them. And then what a lot of people do, like I said, Stockholm Syndrome, they say, well, no, look at the economy. Look at the Donald Trump. Look at all these evil people in power, the reptilians. They're enslaving us all. Look at the minimum wage is not high enough. There are no jobs. It's all just a rigmarole fake getting you to believe in nonsense. You really think that the powers that be have to try to enslave us? No, it doesn't. That's not how it works. We enslave ourselves of our own free will. And then we fight for our chains. They just sit back and relax and drink a nice Topo Chico sparkling water, lime flavored. Speaking of which, refreshing. You know, at some point I used to talk about demons. I mean, I guess I do every once in a while. Because some people are still stuck in the reality in which demons actually have power. But fundamentally, it's all just made up. Sorry. And not made up like it's not real. I mean, made up. Like when you were 5 years old and you're laying in bed and you're afraid of the boogeyman. And you say, oh, there's a monster in my closet. He must be gay. And then you go and look in the closet. Well, you don't look in the closet. Your parents come and say, hey, look in the closet. Just look. There's no gay boogeyman there. And then you open it and you see it. A man with an afro and a disco ball, boogie. And you are scarred for life. Okay. You get serious. Get serious. What happens? You're in your bed and your imagination is frightening you. Not the reality. Because in the reality, there is no boogeyman. It only exists in your imagination. And that's really all of our problems. And I'm not saying, like, trying to put down your problems that you experience. Like if you're struggling with money or whatever. You know, life sucks. I'm saying it's all experienced in your imagination. And it is your own imagination ruining your life. Because you are unconsciously directing that God power, creating it, creating the negative situations, creating the problems by feeding them and focusing on them and feeding them your emotions and getting all tied up in your circumstances. But really look, like in this moment now, just close your eyes and just see what is true. Before any thoughts, there's no thoughts. You're empty. You're just sitting here empty. What is here? What is true? Where are all your problems? Your problems exist as memory that gets triggered by your outer circumstances, your sense data. And then you suffer the problem in your imagination by reacting to it, by thinking about it, by ruminating on it. Now, I'm not saying don't do something about your problems. I'm saying really see how all of our suffering is created by our own imagination. Not about what happens to us. Because, well, two people can go through the same thing, and one has a positive attitude and one has a negative one, and it's a completely different experience. Why? Because they're focused on different things. Their imagination is thinking in a different way that evokes positive emotions, over time at least. Because the mind can focus in 3 ways: in negative ways, in neutral ways, or in positive ways. And this is what religion meant by the word sin. Sin apparently means to miss the mark, like a bow and arrow, right? Your mind is a pointed tool like a bow and arrow. So whatever it is you focus on, you direct that energy. And you're either focusing it on ways that lose energy, that make no difference, or that gain you energy. And because this is the source of heaven, well, what's all of religion about? Do good things, you'll get to heaven. Do bad things, you go to hell. Not good. And it's literally as practical as you can make it. Because the experience of this energy is bliss. And separation from that energy is the opposite of bliss. Now, instead of energy, we're going to call it life. Because it makes more sense. Maybe it's more accurate. It's the life in you, the animating principle, which is the same animating principle that animates all things. It's life. That is what you are. You are not separate from life. You are life, experiencing itself separately. And you either focus on life-affirming things, or you focus on things that cause you to lose life. And where life is not, death is. Like when you turn the lights off to a room, darkness is what remains. So what happens? What happens when your life gets shrouded in darkness? You get depressed, you experience problems, you struggle, life sucks, life is hell. This is the reason. It's all mathematical. It's all just whether or not you learn how to shoot that bow and arrow in proper directions. And the problem is we aren't born with a human user's manual. Manuel, where are you? He's not here. He's sleeping because it's nighttime. Maybe not for you, but for me, it is nighttime right now. That's literally the only thing that separates a successful person from someone who's not successful. It's just how well are you focusing on your mind on things that serve you versus things that don't. So you have this mixture of all of these kinds of beliefs. Some of them do you well and some of them don't. And guess what the don't ones are like? The don't ones are like, the matrix is coming for my cheeks. You have been fooled. I'm going to have to figure out how to change this title. Or you say that like your circumstances have all of this power over you. Like your life sucks because you don't got money. Your life sucks because you don't got a role. Whatever reason, it doesn't matter. It's all just not serving you. But what happens? You make it real by focusing on it. The universe is perfectly balanced between negativity and positivity. It's not about what you think is true. It's about what you choose to focus on. And this is great news because it doesn't matter. All you got to ask yourself is this belief serving my best life? Or is it serving me to go to hell? Meaning, when I focus on this, does it make me feel bad or does it make me feel good? And not good as in temporary pleasure because it often makes you feel bad afterwards, so that doesn't count. Sometimes going to the gym makes you feel bad at first, but then it feels good afterwards. You got to have some discernment. Some wisdom, a little bit at least. And what you can do is you can use your imagination and focus on your dream life. And you just got to focus on it long enough for it to happen. And don't allow anything to pull you away from that. That is kind of what the Matrix is. You have these big dreams as a child. And then as you grow up, your mind gets stronger. You fall deeper into ignorance. And everyone else is in the same boat, in the same prison. And they tell you, hey, it cannot be done. You got to get real. You got to get a job and you got to make money. Because if you don't make money, you're going to be homeless, pooping in buckets. And that's not going to be good. Don't disappoint me. Don't embarrass me. Or you sleep out in the doghouse tonight. So what do? We conform to fit in. And we sacrifice our dreams on the altar of practicality. And so we cut ourselves off from our soul, pretending to be practical and a realist and all that, and wonder why our life sucks. When what you can do is wake up and realize that you have this power. You have the power to focus on whatever you want. And when you accidentally focus on something negative, you become aware of it. And you say, well, I'm not going to do that again next time because, well, it makes you feel bad and you don't want to feel bad, do you? What is the whole point of our human existence here? We literally are always just looking to feel good. It doesn't matter what we do, we're just trying to feel good, and often we're looking for happiness in the same places we're losing it. Not very effective. We're not very good at our mind. But now you will be, because you're paying attention now. You will be paying attention to what you focus on throughout the day, and you will reflect and see, oh, well, that's why my life is the way it is. That's why I'm broke. That's why I'm struggling. That's why my life sucks. It's because, well, you would be focusing on the wrong things, wasting this creative God power that has no limits. And one trick to open up the floodgates is surrender. Like, what is sleep? Sleep is surrender. But what does the mind do? The mind tries to control everything. So the more you try and control your reality and control every aspect, and like, this has got to be this way, everything's got to go according to plan. Haven't you seen The Corpse Bride? They made a musical about it. Everything's got to go according to plan. Just let go and let life do its job. Because God, life, has been doing its job much longer than you. And your only job as a separate thing, as a separate individual, is to gently guide that creative God power in the ways that you want instead of the ways that you don't want. You're just moving the steering wheel a little bit. But God, life, is the driving force that makes everything happen. But you have to trust life, because otherwise you're not going to surrender control. And think about what happens once you start opening up the floodgates. This life that is the source of harmony itself begins to more effortlessly flow through you. And it begins to solve all of your problems for the rest of your life. Slowly but surely. Because your problems are a direct reflection of an absence of harmony in you. Something in you, some attachment, is blocking up the light, causing you to be more dimmed, and the more dimmed you are, cut off from the light within, the more darkness exists. And what is darkness? It's disharmony, it's problems, it's being a slave to the matrix. But once you realize that you are the light, well, what power does the darkness have in the presence of the light? No power. You have all the power, but you give your power away to the forces of darkness through your belief. And it doesn't matter what you think is true. It doesn't mean you run away from the negativity of life. It means you consciously choose to feel better about your life by focusing on more productive things. Instead of pretending to be good, focusing on the suffering of people halfway across the world. Allowing other people's drama and other people's suffering and other people's whatever to infiltrate your life and bring you down. Because it does nothing but contribute to the suffering of the world. And yet if you actually wanted to do something about the suffering of the world, you relieve your own suffering and you stop worrying about other people's suffering. Because you cannot save another drowning person if you yourself are drowning. This is the greatest gift you can give to not only yourself, but also humanity. Because you bring heaven to earth. Why do you think people like Jesus have to incarnate every once in a while? Because in a world living in darkness, the light must return in order for balance to be restored. Don't be tricked by the matrix, they have no power. And catch yourself when you are giving your power away, and then stop it. And you will see how life starts going your way more often, more often, more often. And then eventually you realize that life was always working out perfectly for you You were just getting in the way. I am Ray. Join the spiritual revolution, my friend. Link is below. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, unfortunately, the bee is not present, so you're going to have to enjoy these tasty bananas. Just go bananas.